Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi, we are just jumping on the call. I apologize. My video is not showing, and I'm Janice Boudreau. I'm the CEO of AFCN Learning Center, as well as the Advanced Footcare Nurse. And we are really excited tonight because we have the most amazing host, Nikki from Footlogix, who's going to help us walk through this amazing
Lucky to see
product
before
line.
pre-elections this year. Turnout's been low, and the weather's been great. I mean, it's been a great
Okay, we've
time.
got to
And
mute somebody.
candidates been getting around. I know in our case on the West Coast has been a lot
Oh,
of activity.
okay, I think we got control. Nikki, can you hear me?
I can. Hello, hello.
Hi, Nikki. So, as always, when you're coast to coast with an amazing webinar, we have muted, I think, everybody on the call. I do apologize. Our screen's not showing for my face, but that's okay because we have you. So, everyone, we're bringing you this webinar as we're trying to educate everyone as most we can with the products that we can offer all of our clients, whether it be in our clinics or mobile. And Nikki is the lead educator for Footlogix. And we've been leading up to this for the last few weeks with some questions and some areas of topic that one discussed. So I am just going to leave it to Nikki to lead off this amazing webinar and informational course. Nikki, take the floor.
With pleasure. Thank you so much, Janice, for the warm introduction and the opportunity to come and present tonight. This is one of my favorite parts of what I do is connecting with other foot care practitioners and service providers. So thank you to you, to CPC, Kathy, for bringing us together and making that introduction so that we could work together. Your team, who's been advertising and letting people know what we were doing tonight. So thank you. Hi, I'm Nikki. I am the Director of Education for Footlogix. That's Global Director. So I lead the education for the brand in the 90 or so countries where we do business. I really was asking before we came together to say, what are the pressing issues as foot care nurses? What are the kinds of things that we see? What's the kinds of questions? What value can I bring if we come together tonight to chat? And Ryan put out a questionnaire on Footlogix, and I took a little, or on Facebook, I took a little peek tonight before starting. And the stats are still pretty close to what they were a week ago. The most pressing issues I heard are fungal issues on the skin and the nails, calluses, how to deal with that, cracked heels, fissures, questions about diabetic or at-risk clientele. How do we work with that? And dry, rough, flaky skin. And I was very happy to see that those are your pressing concerns because it so happens this is my wheelhouse. This is a lot of what I talk about when I'm working with foot care nurses, podiatrists, chiropodists, podorthists, anyone who kind of deals with feet and might have a clinic and might have an offering of skincare for the feet. So skincare of the feet is this niche that I find myself in, and you guys deal with feet all the time. So I'm really thrilled to be here. I know you're feet people because we're here. It's 7 o'clock where I am, and we're going to talk about foot stuff. Here we are. So I have a presentation prepared, and I've edited it a little bit specific to this audience, and I'm just going to come in and share screen and we'll go ahead and get started. We've left enough time today where we can do a Q&A at the end. And I love that part because I think sometimes we get into the meatiest conversations, if you will. We're going to come together, we're going to cover some stuff. And sometimes the conversations to me are just the most valuable because sometimes I learn as much from you as you might from me, right? When we come together and we exchange ideas and chat. So welcome to the next generation of professional foot care. I am here to introduce or perhaps reintroduce or refresh your audience with Footlogix Pediceuticals. This is where we say what Medi meets Pedi. Where Medi meets Pedi is a registered trademark. A lot of people, it's not a medical service, But it's not a cosmetic service, right? We're dealing with some people that have a little bit maybe more advanced things going on. We're the world's first and only pediceutical foot care line that achieves some truly transformational results. Today, I'm going to talk about skin. I'm going to talk about skin on the feet and why it's a little different than other parts on the body. I'm going to touch lightly on disease processes, and I'm going to do all these things to help us understand, why do we see stuff on feet that we don't see other places? Why does this happen on a foot and not on a hand or on a leg or what have you? Once we kind of get our head in that space about why the skin on the feet is different, then I'm going to start to talk to you about the Footlogix product line and how we can use it to either provide a foot care service. And then I'm going to talk about conditions we can manage versus conditions that we can resolve. I'm very cognizant of the fact that we do not diagnose and we do not treat, but we can recognize some really common conditions and make some helpful recommendations to our clients. And perhaps from there, we might refer them to their medical professional. And that could be their family physician. That could be a dermatologist. It could be a podorthist. There's a lot of people with foot care specialty that we might refer a client on to. So with all that said, let's talk about it. Our feet carry us around for a lifetime. We literally take them for granted, I think, unless they are hurting us. They smell bad. We perceive that they don't look very well. Usually that's when we start to pay some attention to it. Perhaps we are pre-diabetic or diabetic and our doctor said, take care of your feet. What does that mean? Right? Sometimes things like that is when we start to pay attention. 85% of the walking population have a foot or a foot related issue. And if it's foot odor, you probably know you have a foot issue. But if you have rough skin versus dry skin, are you aware that that might be a fungal infection? There are people who have things going on with their feet and might not be aware of it. And you might hear me say this a few times during our presentation, that between me and the person in the service chair in front of me, I'm the expert, right? Between you and your client, you're the expert. And that's why we come together today. So you can speak in a way that's meaningful and thoughtful and helpful to the client in front of you. So 85% of people have something going on. If we're up and we're mobile and able, we're getting 10,000 steps a day. I don't know if any of you wear one of these little trackers. 10,000 steps a day. That equals about 600 metric tons of force in a lifetime.
Hello.
You do. Hi.
Oh, it was good. Our usual wings.
We walk about three and a
St.
half.
Louis has half price wings on
Oh,
Tuesdays.
goodness.
So we go for that.
We walk about 3.5 to 4 times the circumference of the earth in a lifetime, if you can imagine that. I'm not sure who measures these things, but they certainly are very interesting statistics. So thinking about that, 600 metric tons of force, walking around the earth 4 times, 10,000 steps a day, is it any wonder that 85% of people have something going on with their feet? Not at all. Let's do a quick review of the skin on the feet versus the skin on the body. The visual in front of you on the left is skin on the body. That could be finer skin like on the face. It could be a little bit heavier skin like on the arms versus skin on the right-hand side of this visual. This is skin on the feet. So the first thing we automatically see is how thick is that stratum corneum, the most outermost layer of the skin on the feet, 20 times as thick as skin on the body. Right? The other thing we noticed, do you see that little white kind of wavy line underneath the stratum corneum? This is the next layer of the skin called the stratum lucidum. Only the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet have this stratum lucidum. So the thickness of the stratum corneum and the stratum lucidum, this is what brings the strength and the resiliency to the skin on the feet. This is why we can walk around bare feet, right? Feet are sensory organs. And we're not going to necessarily incur an injury. Whereas if you look at the left side of the screen, how thick that thin the skin is on the body or the face, if you're walking and you take a tumble and your arm hits the ground, you're going to have a bruise. There's going to be an abrasion. You might bleed, right? Because the skin is not designed to take that kind of friction and force the way the skin on the bottom of the feet is. The other thing I want to draw your attention to when we're looking at skin on the body is there's a hair follicle here. There's hair. Fine hair like on the face, maybe coarser hair on the body, but there's hair. And if you follow that hair follicle down just off screen, you're going to find a sebaceous gland, an oil gland. So anywhere in our body where there's fine hair, coarse hair, any hair, we are secreting oils to help protect that skin. That doesn't happen with the skin on the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. On the soles of the feet, you'll notice here in this drawing, there's about 2.5, all these little circular areas. There's about 2.5 to 3 times the amount of sudoriferous glands or sweat glands on the bottom of the feet. So think about this. I hope this is starting to kind of set the wheels a turning. Skin on the feet is different. Skin on the bottom, right? It's different than other parts of the body. Other things to consider when we start to think about this, think about the skin as the body's largest organ. Think about secretions versus excretions. Secretions is oil protecting the skin versus excretions, sweat. That's excrement. It's waste leaving the body. So I don't want to think about sweat on the foot is hydration, right? It's excrement, it's waste versus oils that would protect. So we know that there's no oils protecting that skin on the feet. Other things to consider, depending on your clientele, the average person's probably bathing once a day and washing the feet once a day and then putting on some socks and some shoes. They might be putting their feet into shoes that are crunching their toes together. Sometimes we see some digital deformities from that. Also consider inside shoes as a dark, warm, moist environment. Think about what kinds of things thrive in a dark, warm, moist environment. Fungal things, bacterial, viruses, that sort of thing. So we start to think about the feet. Things are a little bit different with the needs of the feet, right? We wash our hands many times a day, but feet probably once, and depending on your client, maybe only a couple times a week, right? So clients' feet have changed. It used to be, we'd see a client of a certain age looking for service. Typically, as foot care nurses, we're dealing with clients that have some sort of a health issue. It's not always age-related, right? We're not always dealing with I call them the over 80 crowd. They're not all over 80, but we're not always dealing with people who are necessarily aging. We could be dealing with younger people who have some health issues or mobility issues. They can't reach their feet. They're looking for some advanced foot care. So we see a lot of different problems, I think, now than we ever have in the past. The need for foot care is huge, particularly as we see things like prediabetes and diabetes, being a global issue. Everywhere I've been on this planet, diabetes is an issue. So we see some changes. We see rough skin, like on the photo on the left of the screen. In the middle of the screen, we see some rough skin with a bit of a crack there. And if we don't address that crack, it can develop into a fissure, which is a deeper crack. Sometimes they hurt, sometimes they bleed, because they've gone from the epidermis into the dermis of the skin. We see, like on the right-hand side of the screen, that heavy callousing on the heels. The nails are a mess. This is somebody who probably can't reach their feet, may or may not have someone in their life giving them a hand with foot care, right? We see nails that are thickened, they're yellowed, they may or may not be separating, they might be misshapen. You might see like a really deep curvature of the nail, an involuted nail, which can lead to an ingrown nail, depending on management. So there's a lot of different things that are happening with the feet that aren't happening in other places in the body. And I think this is the value that we bring, is we see the feet all the time of our clients. We're probably going to be the first to notice if there's some changes or issues, right? So the marketplace is shifting, consumers are changing. Like I said, it used to be, a certain sort of client that we would see for foot care, and we're really seeing a much more diverse audience looking for foot care. And people might be reaching out for foot care on their own. They might be reaching out for a loved one, a sibling, a brother or a sister, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent. There's a lot of people looking for support, and we want to adapt to each of the kinds of clients we see, whether somebody is healthful and looking for support, if they've just been told they're diabetic and they need to get foot care, so they've booked some foot care with you. Maybe you have somebody who has heart disease, high blood pressure, circulatory issue, some sort of disease process in the body. They're taking some medications that can change what's happening, what we see with the skin on the feet. We have to adapt to every single client we visit. And I'm not necessarily looking to have 10 different product lines to do it. I want to be as efficient as possible. And consumers are demanding innovation. They want the latest and greatest thing. If you're using Footlogix, they want to know, why are you using Footlogix? What's so great about Footlogix? And my hope is when we're done today, you'll have it be able to explain why you choose Footlogix. As foot care nurses, you play a critical role. you're the first person who often sees clients on a regular basis. So it's just critical that we're skillful and we're knowledgeable in what we're talking about. When we're done today, you're going to be able to look at a foot, assess the skin, and understand the difference between dry skin, rough skin, a fissure, a callus, and ways to approach each, and maybe how to speak to your client about foot care in between visits. And this might be a new idea to some folks too, right? Is this idea that I'm going to come visit you maybe every 4 or 6 weeks, but also you need to be doing things in between our visits. And it's my job to explain to you what that could look like, understanding the client in front of me, what's possible for them and what's not reasonable for them, and making a personalized, customized recommendation to them. So let's touch lightly on modern lifestyle and disease processes. Many of us are busy, 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 go, go, go. We may or may not be resting well. We may or may not be eating well. We may or may not be getting the exercise we need. If we're taking medications, if we have disease processes, maybe we had a surgical intervention and we've been out of our regular life routines for a while. There's a lot of different things that go into our modern lifestyles, and any one of them can impact us systemically, our circulation system. If we see disease process, often what we see is when the circulatory system is impacted, and that can be diabetes is absolutely a circulatory issue as well. We see venous insufficiency. The veins are not working at peak capacity. If you think about our heart is all the way up here and our feet are all the way down there, right? Arterial blood gets blasted out, but the veins to bring it back up, we see that insufficiency. And this is what it looks like. This photo here shows it behind somebody's knee. Often we see it down further down the extremity around the ankle and the foot. This is now if the veins aren't working as well, we see impaired elimination of metabolic waste, poor circulation, reduced sweat production. So we already know that the skin on the feet is not secreting any oils to help protect that skin on the bottom of the feet. And now, because of one of the most common issues, diabetes, among many, we're seeing impaired sweat production. We see drier skin. Decreased dermal moisture can lead to microlesions, right? Skin that is not intact. And this is like the crux of it, the meat and potatoes, the most simplicity of it is if I can get my client to hydrate their skin on a regular basis. Hydrated skin is healthy skin. It's intact. It's malleable. It moves. It can absorb friction and pressure. It keeps the bad out. It keeps the good in. And this is where I'm going with it. If skin is disrupted, then I want to heal it to a point where it's intact so nothing else develops. And this is it. Dry skin can result in a lot more than just dry skin. The 3 photos on the left of this screen are kind of dry and rough and flaky. You may be interested to know this is more than dry skin. This is tinea pedis on dry skin. Tinea pedis on dry skin versus tinea pedis on a sweaty foot. We will learn with visuals later in our presentation. The foot in the middle, we see some dark spots there. I can't touch that foot from here. It could be a sock fuzz. It could be a blood supply for a verruca. If we move on to the next photo where we see this deep crack in the skin, it's not yet bleeding, but it's quite deep. So it's probably right on the cusp of hurting, depending if the client has neuropathy or not, or bleeding. You know, it's right at that point where you're kind of walking funny. You're not quite putting full pressure on that because you don't want to take that final step that cracks it open, right? And on the far right, we saw that foot earlier, that foot where maybe somebody's not getting regular foot care. So all of this said, what should effective skincare for the feet look like? And I say skincare for the feet because skincare that I'm going to use on my middle-aged face is a little different than the skincare I'm going to use on my body. And skincare of the feet is different too. I'm looking for something that's going to enhance the function of the skin and add moisture into the epidermis. I'm not looking to occlude the skin or seal the skin in any way. I need something that is able to deliver ingredients into the skin. Remember how thick that stratum corneum is. So the serum or the lotion that I'm using on my face where the skin is quite thin is not going to be effective when I'm talking about the skin on the feet that's quite thick, right? We're looking for something specific here. I'm here to propose to you, the suggestion is, the solution to this is Footlogix Pediceuticals. This is transformational foot care because of our dermal infusion technology. This is a mousse delivery system that molecularly is small enough to penetrate all those layers of the stratum corneum, that very thick, thick skin on the feet. It actually gets into many layers of the epidermis. Molecularly, it's too big to get into the dermis. We're not getting into circulation. But my point is this is a product that does not sit on top of the skin like traditional lotions, creams, or balms. So the next slide, if you enjoy a lecture, I'm still going to keep talking, but a lot of us are visual learners. And I've got this great visual of what I'm talking about, the dermal infusion technology here. We've got the epidermis. This is all the layers of the epidermis. Remember how thick that stratum corneum is? That outer layer we talked about, and then the stratum lucidum, the stratum granulosum, the stratum spinosum, all those layers of the epidermis. Traditional lotions, creams, balms, this sort of product, they tend to sit on top of the skin or penetrate just a couple layers of the stratum corneum. They tend to occlude the skin. A lot of them are semi-occlusive or occlusive. This causes me great concern when we're dealing with somebody who's diabetic. The skin must be able to transpire. If there's any occlusive agents trapping, they say trapping moisture in the skin, essentially it's trapping sweat in the skin, waste in the skin. This can actually cause heat in the skin and cause issue for my diabetic client. So this is just a visual to show you traditional products that sit on top of skin versus Footlogix dermal infusion technology. It penetrates all these layers of the skin down to the base of the epidermis, essentially healing the skin from the inside out. We're getting active ingredients into the skin, base level of skin, to heal it from the inside out. Okay. So our product innovations is this advanced dermal infusion technology. They help to create a protective barrier, which is essentially healthy skin is the barrier that keeps the bad out and the good in. We use state-of-the-art ingredients. Urea is in many different Footcare brands. We use a cosmeceutical grade urea, and it's the delivery system as well, right? And I really want to make a point of talking about that is that we often, when I'm working with the medical community, often the lead question is what's in it? What's the active, urea, and other ingredients? What percentage? And I think that's how we are trained. We're in that medical space. And what I need to introduce is this idea. It's not just ingredient, active ingredient, it's also delivery system. How do we get it into the skin to that targeted area of action, right? So urea, CoQ10 is an ingredient in many skincare products. It helps support the collagen and elastin of the skin. You also see an ingredient here called spirulina. This is a patented, unique ingredient to Footlogix, which I will speak more about once we get to our advanced skin and nail care products. Our unique selling features. That's what our marketing team would call this. I'm in education. To me, why Footlogix? I'm also a practitioner. Why Footlogix? It's the only pediceutical product out there. I have access to cosmeceutical ingredients for my face and my body. It makes complete sense to me. I should have a pediceutical for the skin on my feet. These products are non-occlusive. It does not seal the skin. It allows the skin to transpire, which is what makes it safe for our at-risk clients. At-risk clients being pre-diabetic, diabetic, expectant, nursing mothers, people with heart disease, high blood pressure, what have you. These products are fast absorbing with no greasy residue, and this is because of the dermal infusion technology, the mousse delivery system. There's a full range of products. I'm not going to speak about all of them tonight because I don't think all of them are necessarily relevant to us. When we're talking about giving a foot care service, we're probably not giving a soak or a scrub, that sort of thing. We're typically coming in, we're going to maybe cleanse the foot. And then from there, we're going to get right into callus management, toenail management, that sort of thing. But I do want to spend some time talking about moisturizing solutions. There's 4 of them for a reason. And I do want to spend some time talking about the advanced skin and nail care products, because these are very relevant to our practice and what we hope to learn tonight about fungal issues, calluses, diabetic foot care, and dry, rough, flaky skin that was in our survey on Facebook. So Footlogix is different from some other products out there in that it's transformational. If you want to compare price points, we are economical. We're less expensive per cost per service, if you will. I don't know if anyone's done a business plan as you're preparing your businesses. I have a cost per service sheet. We are mere cents per application. This is a product that's very easy to use in service or when we're taking care of our clients. The callus softener, we spray it on, we let it soak it in, and we file, and we can reapply if we need to. We don't need to rinse it off. This is not a product, I don't know if you've seen any callus products where you put it on a cotton, you put it on a foot, you have to wrap the foot, you have to wait a while. You don't want to wait too long because you don't want to burn the client, but if you don't wait long enough, it's not effective. So this is not that product. It's just spray, apply and go, safe for all the clients in all the skin types, essentially. So the professional product range, I'm going to touch on the foot soak, not as a soak. Many of us offer a soakless or a dry service for not soaking skin, but I do want to cleanse the skin. So if I was in your shoes, what I would recommend is the smallest bottle. This bottle on the left is called a retail size. But what I do is I put it into a spray bottle and I mix it 1 part foot soak, 2 parts water, and just make a light cleansing solution. And I'll spray that in the foot and then wipe that. I like this because it is pH balanced. I like this that the urea has some antimicrobial characteristics, so that cleansing, but it doesn't dehydrate the skin. And this is the key thing. Skin on the feet is dry. Everybody is. We learn the skin on the feet's not secreting oils. Many people are not even secreting a lot of sweat. Most people have some version of dry skin. So I like right from this first step with the cleanse that we can hydrate. If you are not interested in that, we also have a foot spray that has tea tree in it that's antimicrobial as well. So you do have options. And I do like that about Footlogix as well, is I have options about which products I want to use and what my approach will be, depending the client in front of me. So cuticle softener is a product that looks like this. It's quite liquid, and I'll just open and show you here what it looks like. I usually put the bottle completely upside down like this because now I have control as I'm dripping each little bit. And I'm just going to drip a little at the end, the distal part of each nail fold, and kind of let it soak under the free edge and down into the nail folds. And what is in this product is urea, and it's going to start to soften and loosen any debris that's across the nail plate and in the nail fold. And then I'm going to use this tool. This is a Footlogix excavator tool. It has a very small round disc, and I like that it's small because it lets me get into these nail folds effectively. If you have a client who has one of those really deep curvatures of the nail and they've got a deep nail fold and they've got all kinds of debris in there, often we see with people as cellular turnover slows down, we see a lot of dead skin around there. The dead skin in the nail fold, sometimes we'll see sock fuzz, pet fur or hair or what have you, debris in that nail fold. It's often very uncomfortable for the client. Sometimes they think they have an ingrown nail, and when you assess it, you see it's not ingrown. It's just a deep curvature and a lot of debris in there. By using the cuticle softener, the urea in it's going to soften the skin, soften the debris, so you can really comfortably and effectively get into that nail fold for your client. The other side of this tool is a little blacks file. I don't know if you can see the texture there on that. There we go. This is excellent for clearing as well because we don't want to leave a spicula in the nail fold. So if you've ever come around with your excavator tool in the nail fold and it's catching, you know that there's still something in there. Using this blacks file, I just come in and I pull up and out and up and out. I don't like pushing back and forth because I don't like pushing in. I like to pull it up and out and pull any debris up and out. And that's cuticle softener and the excavator tool together. This is the excavator tool I was just talking about. So this is a high quality Soul Engine stainless steel. I'm not going to talk a lot about implements tonight. Essentially this one in our foot file. These can be put into a chemical sterilant. I believe in this audience, you're probably all using an autoclave, and this is absolutely something you can put into an autoclave to be sterilized. Just follow your manufacturer's directions. All right, callus softener. This is the one for the people who are wondering about calluses. When we're talking about calluses, it's usually going to be a friction point or a pressure point, right? So calluses I usually see typically they're going to be, you know, the side of the foot here where the shoe, the top of the shoe reaches the bottom of the shoe. That's sometimes if the shoe is not well fitting, sometimes that's a friction point. As we age and we lose fat pads in the skin, we often see it in the face. It happens in the foot as well. So as we lose the fat pads in the foot, the skin is still thick, but we'll see some callousing over the very specific areas. Typically the metatarsal heads, you'll see it, those little round calluses. And also sometimes if someone has digital deformities, if there's a friction point, you'll see it on the top of a mallet toe or a claw toe as well. So spraying callus softener on, essentially, I give the whole foot a good spray, and I'm going to let this soak in, and it will take, it says on the bottle, 2 to 5 minutes. How do I know which? If the callus is really heavy, it will soak in very quickly, and the urea will start to unpack this hardened skin so that I can exfoliate it. It's callus management, not callus removal, right? We're looking to simply exfoliate and hydrate skin when I give a foot care service. Depending on the client, you might not even file. You might just spray some callus softener as a hydrating treatment, let it soak a bit, and go over it with your hand. If they do have some callus work, depending what it looks like, I might start with the coarse side of the file, which looks like this, and then go to the fine side, which looks like this. Some clients, I'm only going to use the fine side. Some clients, I'm not going to use this. I'm still going to spray the callus softener in, and I'm going to come in with my E-file bit and do a little bit of detail work, maybe with a domed diamond bit, depending what the callus looks like. The whole point is callus softener. It just unpacks the hardened skin so I can be really effective with it. This also helps if you use, I'm not sure in your practice if you would use a scalpel or if that's more the domain of a podiatrist or medical intervention, but it can really be helpful for scalpel work as well. When we're talking about foot files, if you use a foot file, a Footlogix foot file is safer in my estimation because this is one piece of metal that's been chemically etched. All these little bumps on here that exfoliate, none of these things are going to come off. If you think about those peel and stick files, or if you use a wooden paddle, for example, the wooden ones obviously can't be sterilized. I don't believe they're hygienic from client to client. But even if you use a fresh one each time, those little pieces are glued on there. And if you're filing a foot and any of those pieces should come off and become embedded in your client's foot, that's an issue. If somebody has neuropathy, even bigger issue because they're not going to feel it to tell you that it's there. So I just think that this is a safer choice. Another thing that comes up is this is pretty thin. And sometimes people are like, Nikki, I don't think that's thick enough to do what I need to do. My client has really heavy callusing on their heels. I'm here to tell you this doesn't do all the work, right? It's the callus softener. This being the foot file doesn't do all the work. The callus softener and the foot file together do the work. If you feel like you have to push harder, you might just need more callus softener. The other thing, here was an aha moment that I had along the way. It might not be your callus softener. It might not be your technique. It might not be your foot file. It could be the condition of the skin in front of you. If your client has rough skin, there's nothing you're going to do that's going to get 100% smooth because that skin is disrupted. So keep that in your back pocket because we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So here's a client, elderly gentleman. You can see here, this is what callus management looks like. All I seek to do during my foot care service is cleanse skin and exfoliate callus where I can, hydrate skin. I'm always going to hydrate the skin because I know all of my clients have some level of dry skin going on for the most part. Sometimes the skin is thin too. So this is a beautiful example of a before and after of callus management. From there, if your client doesn't have any contraindications, I would start by hydrating the skin with either the DD Cream Mousse or the Very Dry Skin Formula. And if they are not allowed to have massage, that is it. I've hydrated skin, I'm done. If a massage is not contraindicated, then the massage formula is again another level of urea, another level of hydration. Sometimes there's great comfort, even in just like some long, gentle strokes, right? Can bring great comfort. I think a big part of what we do is caring for people, right? When's the last time someone touched your feet? Or maybe you're the only person touching your client if they live alone. I really think that this part, just that nice hydrating the skin at the end or giving a gentle massage, that care, that care is just everything, I think, in what we do sometimes. All right, that takes care of the few professional products I want to talk about. Now I really want to get into the meat and potatoes of it. The crux of it is the home care products. There are 4 hydration solutions, and we're going to learn about why they are. So DD Cream Mousse. Let's start with, I don't want to assume everyone in the audience has seen Footlogix, used it, touched it, felt it. Before we get into all the screens, I'll show you Very Dry Skin Formula and DD Cream Mousse. Both have the same level of hydration in them. DD Cream Mousse, the title gives you a hint. The texture is a little bit richer than the very dry skin formula. So I'm just going to show you that. DD Cream Mousse also has spirulina in it, but I just want to show you. Did you see how I shook the bottle there? This is DD Cream Mousse. And now I'm just giving the very dry skin formula a good shake, and I'm just going to put some of that. Notice I've got the bottle upright. We're not doing this, we're doing this so that the propellant can push it out of the bottle. So on the left, this is DD Cream. This is very dry skin. Do you see the texture's different already? It's a little bit richer looking. This has a little bit more air bubbles. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit fluffier. So I've got a lot of product here, but I'm just going to start to rub. Do you see how as I'm rubbing it, it doesn't really like penetrate quite as quickly? Like I can rub a little bit and rub a little bit and rub a little bit. Whereas the very dry skin formula penetrates almost immediately. So the very dry skin formula penetrated almost immediately. Here, I've still got a little bit more to rub in. Okay, so that's the difference, the richness of it. In both cases, you can see I'm going to put it on the palms of my hands now, because the palms of my hands is very much like the soles of my feet, and the stratum corneum is thicker. Products don't penetrate as easily there. And it's that quick. It's in my skin, and I can snap my finger. This is not sticky. It's not heavy. It penetrates very quickly. And the beauty of this, sometimes for certain clients, if they can't quite reach their feet, or if they do get like their foot up over on their lap and they're rubbing, they can't hold their foot there long enough to rub it in, right? The dermal infusion technology, this mousse delivery system, is what makes this penetrate so quickly. So even if my client has enough core strength, if they can like dispense a ball down on their foot and just rub their feet together, that's enough. Like one on top of the other, that's enough for this to penetrate into the skin. And to me, this is such a huge, huge help. So coming back to DD Cream Mousse, has the same level of hydration as very dry. It has a richer, creamier texture. This also has spirulina, that antimicrobial ingredient. So when I'm going to look at skin, what I'm looking for is the lines in the skin. And if I cannot see the lines in the skin, rough skin, which is a fungal infection, has a specific look. This is a client who doesn't have rough skin, that through experience, I know that someone who's older, cellular turnover slows down. There's a little bit of dry skin hanging out there. It's just skin that hasn't exfoliated naturally because mitosis, cellular turnover, has slowed down a little over time. So we've just put DD cream on it to hydrate it and help with that cellular turnover. Also, it's got spirulina in here because looking at that, I'm pretty sure it's just aging skin. Is there a fungal thing? I don't know. Am I allowed to diagnose it anyway? No, I'm not. So spirulina is that really powerful antimicrobial ingredient that's going to help prevent any infection from setting in. So the photo on the right is just 3 days of using this product. There's been no foot care service here, just hydrating skin. Daily maintenance has the lowest level of hydration, and it's just as it sounds. If my client, I've got their skin to a healthy point, and this is what healthy skin looks like on the left, it's just dry, then this is what I'm going to recommend. So you see the lines in the skin? This is what I'm looking for. When I do my foot care assessment form and I go through all these conditions with my client, I should talk about this as well, consulting with the client. But when I'm looking, this is what I'm looking for, is the lines in the skin. This is healthy skin. It's just dry. Okay. Very dry skin formula, more hydration than daily maintenance. It doesn't have a rich texture. It's just light, fluffy mousse, penetrates really, really quickly. This is what it looks like after 3 days. This is the client I was talking about. As we age, we lose the fat pads in the skin, and we see that very characteristic callousing over the metatarsal heads. This is on the side of the foot. This is friction from the side of the shoe. We see that the callus is heavy, but we also see the thinner skin's very red and irritated, right? So simply hydrating the skin, the photo on the right, not the best photo, but we can see the calluses are hydrated now. So when calluses are hydrated, or skin in general, it's malleable, it moves, it can absorb that friction and pressure, it's comfortable. This foot on the left is so uncomfortable. This gentleman has a callus remover or a corn removal pad, and my concern with that, particularly if he's diabetic, is the problems that could cause. But what it's telling me is these little bits of thick skin on top of each metatarsal head is causing him discomfort, because every time he steps, It feels like a little pea. It's uncomfortable in there. The photo on the right, the skin is hydrated. It's able to absorb that friction and pressure. And to me, this is the most powerful photo. I'm taking someone from a place of discomfort to a place of comfort. The next and the fourth and the final product in the hydration line is cracked heel formula. This is for fissures. This is for a deep, deep crack. It might be almost down to the dermis from the epidermis, right? It could have bleeding or be on the cusp of bleeding or pain. This again, looking at this, I can see the lines in the skin here. The only thing is the crack. I can see the lines, the crack. This was caused just from sheer pressure, this particular fissure. When I look at this photo, do you see this kind of roughness around the sides of that fissure? This is a rough skin situation, a fungal infection that was not addressed. And because it was not addressed, the superficial cracking led to a fissure. This fissure is just from sheer pressure. Cracked heel formula has the highest level of urea in the product line. It also has evening primrose oil, which is an ingredient that's going to help with skin integrity, meaning skin where the integrity has been compromised, the skin is apart. It's going to help to heal that skin as quickly as possible. I would note this took 30 days. There's a little screen here with, let me move that aside here. This took 30 days because it was deeper in the skin. A lot of issues that we bump into are just in the superficial top part of the skin and heal quicker. So let's put this right here. The 4 solutions, daily maintenance is the lowest level of urea, light fluffy mousse, penetrates easily. Very dry skin formula has more urea than the daily maintenance. Also a light fluffy mousse, penetrates quickly. DD cream mousse has the same amount of urea as the very dry skin formula, but it also has the spirulina. So this is richer and it's ideal for clients who like to put a product on at night or at-risk clients who are, when I say at-risk, people who have any kind of health issue that might make them more susceptible to picking up infection. Cracked heel formula, highest level of hydration, evening primrose oil. I make a point of explaining all these things because sometimes people new to the brand think more is better. They jump right to cracked heel formula. They have superficial roughness and they think it's cracked heels. It's not a fissure. You don't need cracked heel formula. More is not better. Sometimes more is just more. So things to keep in mind when we're looking at choosing products for our clients. The next product line I want to talk a bit about the advanced skin and nail care products with spirulina. The next screen is a little video and it goes real quick. So I'm going to narrate it as best I can. Let's all try to keep up. Starting here, spirulina is a plant that lives in the ocean. It has for a millennia because when it's under attack, it releases an enzyme to protect itself. This enzyme is antimicrobial. It has antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. So we take spirulina and we put it through a stress extrusion process in a lab environment to create this patented registered trademark unique bioactive microalgae extract. This is antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial. What are the most common things we see in the feet? Tinea pedis, fungal, antiviral. If you see pediceutical, for example, antiviral virus being a verruca, a wart, bacteria would be pediceutical. So these are the things we see most commonly on the feet. So this is where my friends who want to talk about fungal things, I cannot diagnose fungus. I cannot treat fungus, but I can recognize tinea pedis on a sweaty foot, a classic athlete's foot. This is what it looks like. It's kind of burny and peely. When I was in school learning about skincare conditions, I was given a paragraph this long about tinea pedis, that sometimes it peels, sometimes it itches, sometimes it burns, sometimes it's scratchy. And I remember thinking, how do I know which it is? To which I was told, you cannot diagnose, just send it to a doctor. You don't need to know. I've taken advanced skincare training for the feet. I now know tinea pedis on a sweaty foot, an athlete's foot, is burny and peely, and it looks like this. It usually starts these little circular peeling. If you've ever seen this little circular peeling on a client's foot, this is what tinea pedis, athlete's foot, sweaty foot, tinea pedis looks like before it proceeds to these larger peeling circles. I don't think you'll see a lot of this in your practice, quite frankly. We're usually working with people who've compromised circulatory systems, reduced sweat production. Typically, this is not what we're seeing. but I want you to know about it when you look at it to know what you're looking at. This product has spirulina to address the fungal issue. It has no hydration. It's one of the few products in our line that has no hydration in it. The foot's already sweaty, right? It doesn't need hydration. I want to contrast this now with rough skin. This is sandpapery, kind of rough feeling skin. And when you're filing it, it's not coming smooth. It's because the skin is disrupted with a fungal infection. So again, I cannot diagnose tinea pedis, but I know enough to recognize a rough skin on a foot when I see it, a disrupted skin. I'm going to recommend the rough skin formula to my client because the urea is going to help with cellular turnover, help the skin become hydrated. Hydrated skin's intact, right? So it's not going to get reinfected. And the spirulina in this is going to address what's causing the roughness. This is what rough skin looks like on the left-hand side of the screen. A lot of people will think that this is just dry skin. You file it and it's not coming smooth is my clue that it's not just dry skin. Do you remember earlier in our presentation where we saw the foot, where you can see the lines in the skin? That's healthy skin. That skin, when you put a callus softener on and file it, easiest skin to work with. What we see more is this sort of disruption. The final product in our advanced skin and nail care line is our nail tincture spray. And this is for onychomycosis. Again, I cannot diagnose onychomycosis. We have to go to a doctor. We have to get a nail clipping. We have to send it to a lab. We have to find out what the dermatophyte is, and then a choice can be made about perhaps a prescription product. There's a variety of reasons why someone may not go to their physician, even though I've suggested to them they need to go to their physician. They may choose an over-the-counter product. This could be a choice. Another really great point is even if you go to a physician and get a prescription product, you have to apply it consistently. Whether you apply this topical or a prescription topical, you must hit that every single day until that nail grows out. Fungus is stubborn as all heck. If you think about exponential growth, you put this on 2 or 3 days, it's killing some things, it's preventing some new things from propagating. You miss a day, it's like taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This is a really popular product for clinics that offer laser treatment for the nails. This is the in between your visits for the laser treatment. You would use this as your topical in between. So coming back to, we can't diagnose, we can't treat. I come from the very simple place. A healthy nail is slightly pink, translucent. It's attached. Free edge is typically whiter to just off-white. As soon as there's any deviation from that, the nail is yellowed, it's brown, it's green, it's discolored, it's thickened. The key thing is it's not attached. A lot of times we'll see thickened nails that are attached. I'm less concerned about it if it's attached. If it is not attached, typically it's someone who's not getting their nails trimmed often enough, that hyponychium's been compromised, right? If the nail is hitting the inside of the shoe, a slipper, what have you, and that's exactly how a fungal thing gets in there. So this product, it has the avocado oil, which helps the sheen and the luster of the nail. It has pathanol B5, which helps the keratin in the nail. And of course, it has the spirulina, this antimicrobial ingredient. One of my favorite things about this is this spray nozzle, because I'm not brushing something and putting it in a bottle and there's no contact. This is contactless. If someone can't reach their feet, it's just a quick little micro spray. So if they can even, if their feet are on the ground like this and they can have enough dexterity to just pull the foot up and go, even from sitting up here, that's enough that we can start to see some results from it. I would prefer if somebody can get under the free edge, but we're going to work with what we can, meet our clients where we're at. Also consider, is your client distressed enough that they're going to use it every single day? I think the number one thing we bump into is client compliance. They don't see results quickly because you have to keep doing it till the nail grows out. We'll see improvement in a few weeks, but resolution can take months depending how far down the nail it is. So this is a younger person. This is in their 40s. Most people who see it at this level would probably just trim the nail back, maybe put polish, maybe not, but probably not say a whole bunch to the client. To me, being part of being a skillful, knowledgeable professional is talking to my clients to say, Sue, as I was working on you today, I noticed that your one toenail, it's separated a little bit in the corner. I'd really like for you to get that checked out by a doctor. In the meantime, I'd like to recommend this toenail tincture to you. I'd like you to spray it twice a day for the first 2 weeks and once a day thereafter. And I want to take a look at things in 4 weeks when I get back, and I'll get an update from you if you've had an opportunity to check with your physician. So I've given them what you need to talk to a doctor. They may or may not take my advice. I've given them something to start to try to maybe stop the growth from happening or from getting worse until they get to their doctor. Maybe they can't get to their doctor. You know, their doctor's booking out 6 weeks, 8 weeks from now. I've given them something topical in the meantime. When we say that fungus is stubborn, again, whether we choose a prescription or an over-the-counter, consistency is what wins. When you have a client who's like, oh, I've tried something, but it didn't really work. My first question is always, tell me about that, right? Well, I used it for a week or two. I didn't really see anything. That's my first issue, is I'm going to talk to them about why it didn't work. It wasn't the product. It was about consistency of application. Okay. Consistency is what wins the day, right? We don't go to the gym for a week and lose 10 pounds, right? I didn't put on 10 pounds in a week. It took me a little longer than that, right? So it's all about my conversation, my approach with my client. So looking at a summary, peeling skin formula just has our proprietary spirulina, that antimicrobial ingredient, to deal with any tinea pedis. Rough skin formula has spirulina to deal with the tinea pedis, urea to help hydrate that skin, help it become intact and resist infection. Nail tincture spray has the spirulina to address the onychomycosis, avocado oil for the sheen and the luster and the hydration of the nail, and pathanol, which is B5, helps with the keratin of the nail. And with this product, consistency wins. Consistency wins for all of them, truly. But nail tincture really just tends to be that one. I feel like sometimes my job is foot care professional. Sometimes it's cheerleader, right? I'll take my photos when I have my first visit with my client, my consultation with them. And from there, as each time I visit and document, sometimes I'll show them a picture like 4 weeks out to say, do you see how this is turning from yellow to darker yellow? I know you're using it. The dermatophytes are dying off. I can see it. Or do you see how this went more clear looking? So there's hundreds of thousands of dermatophytes. I don't know which one it is, but I can tell if someone's been using it, because as the dermatophytes die off, I do see visual changes in the nail, and I can let my client know that I know you're doing it. I see it. Keep going. It's a good fight. Keep doing it, right? Equally, if a client is not interested in giving it a go, I probably wouldn't even send them home with it. I don't want to set my client up for disappointment. I don't want to set them up where they're like dreading me coming to visit, because I know she's going to ask if I use that stuff and I didn't, and she's going to know, right? I don't want to set that dynamic. I want to be helpful and supportive to my client. I'm not judging my client, always trying to be helpful. So here's the summary screen. On the left, the lines in the skin. This is dry skin. It's healthy, just dry, easy skin to work with. You could use very dry skin formula or daily maintenance formula. The skin in the middle is superficial cracking, right? Rough skin. This is the skin as you're filing it, and it's not quite coming smooth because the skin is disrupted. I want to make the point about a superficial crack versus the photo on the right, also cracked skin. English is a great language, isn't it? Because both of those photos technically crack skin. I'm not saying that incorrectly, but when we be more nuanced, we're the professional, we want to make the differentiation. Rough skin is superficial cracking. I can mostly exfoliate, not 100%, whereas cracked skin is a fissure. It's deeper. It's past the epidermis. It might be on the edge of the dermis. So there are two different conditions. There's two different products to address this. And again, simple language, because I'm a fan of that. Keep it real simple. I want to meet my clients where they're at. The next products are what we call our specialty solutions. They're complementary products. I'm not going to spend as much time on them. And here's why. There's some conditions we can manage. There are some conditions we can resolve. So when I'm looking at dry skin can be managed using DD cream or very dry skin formula. If someone has a tinea pedis condition, I can resolve that, right? Because that's an infectious situation. I can resolve the tinea pedis and then move them to a maintenance product to maintain it. When we're talking about conditions like cold feet as related to a circulatory issue is a medical condition. There's not a topical that's going to resolve that. What it can do is help to bring comfort if someone has a condition like that. If someone has sweaty feet and they've got some kind of a hormonal imbalance in their body that's making them particularly sweaty, that's an issue for a doctor. Maybe they're going to suggest Botox in the foot, what have you. But I can recommend Sweaty Foot Formula to help manage it. So I want to make this differentiation between conditions I can manage and conditions that I can resolve. If someone has psoriasis and they're using DD cream regularly, they're going to see less flare-ups. But if you have a flare-up, I can help to manage that using DD cream mousse. If you have an eczema, same thing. These are conditions that are probably not going to resolve. But using a product like DD Cream Mousse empowers my client, because if the skin is healthy and intact, if there's a flare, it's not as dramatic, it's not as uncomfortable, and it doesn't last as long. Typically with those sorts of conditions, I know no one was really pressing about that in our questionnaire, but if you do have a client with eczema or psoriasis or keratoderma or any of these conditions, a lot of times a dermatologist or the doctor will give them a steroid cream, which you can only use for a certain amount of time, which helps thin the skin. You stop using the steroid cream because the issue is resolved for a time, but then you have a flare and you're in this vicious cycle. So if you can use a maintenance product to help prevent a flare from happening, that's where we win. That's the value that we can bring to our client, right? All right. So cold foot formula, this is because of a circulatory issue. Just simply applying this product, a little bit of micro stimulation to circulation is what's going to help bring the comfort. Again, if this is circulatory, no topical product will resolve it, but I can help to manage it. It's going to help promote healing, calm irritation, calm swelling. These are great choices if someone is wearing compression hose, tired leg formula, I'll talk about in a minute. Sweaty foot formula, again, doesn't stop the foot from sweating. It constricts the pores a little to reduce the amount of sweat, to make a drier environment in the shoe. And that can be a lot more comfortable for a client. It can prevent a bacterial or fungal infection or help to manage it. Tired leg formula, again, this is a particular ingredient. The witch hazel helps promote circulation. If you have someone who wears compression, or I just wear, if I'm traveling and I know I'm going to be on a flight and it's going to be longer than 3 or 4 hours, I will do my plantar dorsiflexion to get my lymphatic system going. I'll wear a compression hose and I'll use tired leg formula for about a week before I travel, while I'm traveling, and then a little bit when I get home. So again, the urea just helps to bring comfort, especially if someone has that swelling. You know, when the legs swell and the skin gets really tight, if it's dry and it's itchy, tired leg formula just brings comfort in that situation. Foot Fresh deodorant spray. Again, if I want to cleanse the foot and I don't want to use the foot soak in water to spray the foot to cleanse it, if you truly want no water involved, then this is an excellent choice. It has tea tree in it, which helps kill any bacterial organisms before I begin my work. It also has menthol, which can be really, really refreshing on the foot for my client. Shoe Fresh spray, just tea tree. Again, because sometimes I'm addressing the foot, sometimes I'm addressing the environment the foot is in. If you have a clinic setting, these are a couple of displays that are really great choices. The display on the left is the counter display. It has DD cream, cracked heel formula, rough skin formula, foot and shoe spray, and nail tincture. These are the best-selling products globally. These products are on here because of their bestsellers. This is not just a retail opportunity. This is not like, we sell the most of this, so we're putting it here. It's, do you know why we sell the most? Guess what the most common conditions are that we encounter on the skin of the feet? Dry skin. DD cream addresses that. People who are diabetic and need to hydrate their skin daily but cannot use anything occlusive. DD cream mousse for the win. Cracked heel formula for those fissures. Rough skin formula for those sandpaper heels. Foot and shoe spray because we want to address the environment the foot is in as much as the foot itself. Nail tincture is the #1 seller globally. It's the #1 issue that we encounter working with the feet. The client display on the right is the advanced skin and nail care display. This strictly has the antimicrobial products. So there's 9 rough skin formula, 6 peeling skin formula, 3 nail tincture. 9 rough skin is no surprise either. It's like besides dry skin, rough skin is the #2 skin issue I bumped into in my practice. When I took this training and understood the difference between, thinking back to this little image, the difference between dry skin And rough skin, right? We learned about here, dry skin versus rough skin. I already knew when I took this training in my practice, like who was getting what. I knew what my conversation was going to be as soon as I was at work the next day. It was very exciting. And then in the weeks to come, as I saw issues resolving, that was really exciting too. That satisfaction in helping people, taking people from a place of discomfort to a place of comfort. So here's some before and after photos. This is before and after a single service. This was a cuticle service, not as relevant maybe with our nursing crowd, but I would say even though the photo on the right looks healthy, like it looks better, that nail is still not healthy. I would send my client with nail tincture and recommend they check with their doctor. This is a fissure situation with a cracked heel. This took 16 weeks. It's deeper in the skin. It takes a little longer. Classic rough skin right there. So that took a few weeks to resolve, right? 2 weeks there. When you're working with clients who are older, it might be a little longer because cellular turnover slows down as we age too. So it might take a little bit more, 3 weeks. This is somebody who's a runner. We see a new toenail growing in underneath the old one and the nail tincture to help create a nice healthy environment for a healthy nail. This is an aging client. Cellular turnover has slowed down. This is not tinea pedis. This is just dead skin that's kind of hanging out because mitosis didn't move it along quicker. We have a spa partner advantage network. It's for clinics, it's for podiatry clinics, it's for foot care nurses, it's anyone who works with Footlogix. If you go to footlogix.com and there's a link that says where to buy. If you use Footlogix, please put your clinic on there so we know to send people to you. People do go on there. I work at head office. We get calls regularly. Where can I get Footlogix? And I want to send people to you. We also have monthly webinars. I just completed one last week. It was talking about ingredients. You know, it was not so much a Footlogix convo as a critical thinking. When you look at a label and you see ingredients, the order of the ingredients, what ingredients are there, what are relevant. So I do a variety of different things. We are currently doing our State of the Industry report. It's our second annual State of the Industry report. So we'll be talking about that in November, Diabetes Awareness Month. I will be talking about that a little bit as well. We have a full online community. We have Footlogix Professional, which is for you and I as professionals. We have Footlogix is for the retail user. We're on TikTok. We are on LinkedIn for our professional clinics. Every single product in the line has a corresponding video. So if you buy a bottle of Footlogix, there's a QR code here. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to footlogix.com for this product. It tells you all the stuff on this label in a print you can actually read. But it also at the bottom has a video because some people learn by listening. I might tell my client what to do with this, but if someone learns by watching, there's not a darn thing I'm going to say that's helpful. If I can show them, that is where the magic is. So the other thing that's exciting about this is because we're in 90 countries around the world, we have labels that are in 18 languages and these videos are in 18 languages. So if you go to YouTube and you click on the settings, you can close caption it, just like we're closed captioned here in English today. And you can close caption that in Portuguese or Italian or Arabic or whatever your language is for your loved ones. So healthy, happy feet is the goal. Thank you for your time and attention. Just before I wrap up and thank you. I see someone clapping. Thank you so much. I do want to touch on some of the tools that Footlogix gives us to help with every foot care service. We do a consultation. I imagine as foot care nurses, you've got your documentation down very, very well. Also, when we're talking about diabetic neuropathy and such, we do have a Footlogix information form that I go through with a number of clients, and it gets their name, their phone number, their email. My next question, so that I'm in compliance with PIPTA, is may I contact you here? Right? Just because they've given me their info doesn't mean I'm allowed to use it. So I'm always going to verbally ask that. It says, are you diabetic? Yes or no? If someone says they're pre-diabetic, I'm going to treat that like diabetic. Do you have any allergies? I need to be aware if they have any sensitivities or allergies. Typically, I have never had an issue with it. I sit at head office. If there's a problem, the email comes to me. I haven't seen any issues with sensitivity. Current medications is going to give me a clue too. If I see someone taking a blood thinner, right, or they're taking high blood pressure medication, they say they're healthy and I see that they're taking high blood pressure medication. Okay, there's a circulatory issue here. I might see some changes in the skin. And then with respect to your feet and legs, which of these conditions do you experience and how often? Cold feet, never at times or frequently. Dry skin, never at times, frequently. And then it goes on cracked skin, itchiness, peeling skin, sweaty feet, hot feet, blisters, skin fungus, nail fungus. It's very detailed because if you say to someone, how are your feet? How are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. Okay. Have you had any discomfort? Not really. Okay. And you're looking at the foot and meanwhile, there's an ulcer starting. Do you have neuropathy? Oh, no, I'm fine. So asking some really specific questions that are not yes, no questions, curious questions, sometimes we can tease out some more info. At the bottom, what improvements would you like to see in your feet? Tell me about that. Notice here is a home care form where I make my product recommendation. If someone says they have dry skin here, I have a dry skin formula. If you've got a cracked heel here, I got cracked heel formula. I've got all the formulas and I'm going to tick off what it is you need. It says name, foot care provider, next foot care appointment. I'm always going to invite my client to book the next appointment. On the back, there's an area for instructions. So I can say use 2 times daily for the first 2 weeks, once a day thereafter. I'll see you in 4 weeks. I'm usually a little bit more forward as I'd love to see you in about 4 weeks. That's going to take us to, gosh, the end of November. Can you believe it's going to be November? And then let's talk dates. And usually that's how I'm not asking, I'm telling you, I want to see you back here, right? I'm inviting my client back. Sometimes on here, I'll also write a little love note because part of what I love about meeting people is, you know, I hope you have a great vacation. Or next time I see you, I'll get to hear what the grandbaby, is it a boy? Is it a girl? Right? Isn't that part of what we love about connecting with our people? So we have many, many tools. We do have a cost per service sheet. So if you're looking at bringing in Footlogix and you're wondering about the cost per service, we have professional catalogs, there's brochures. If you sign up for that partner website, there's a wealth of info in there. And then just a little teaser, I've been working really hard this year and a lot of our education is about to go online on demand. So I'm starting with our classic product knowledge, which is a version of what we're doing here today. And then the other presentations that I mentioned, I do once a month. We do record them and we want people to be able to come back to them. I have a really great presentation called The Fungus Among Us that I think you guys might like. And it talks about, you know, fungus, but it also talks about here's keratoderma, here's psoriasis, here's eczema. Did you know eczema looks like this on a dark skinned person versus a light skinned person? You know, just those kinds of conversations. And again, not to diagnose. It's all about knowledge and awareness because I think when we don't have that awareness, I know of a lot of foot care practitioners who are working on things that we probably should not be working on, and they don't know not to because they don't have the skills to recognize what they shouldn't be working on. It's this little thing that we're in. So I believe there's no harm. I'm very clear, you know, when I'm working with someone about what my scope of practice is, and I'm absolutely going to let you know if you need to be talking to someone else besides me. And I'm probably going to be really specific about it. You should talk to a podorthist to offload this pressure point. You should be talking to a dermatologist for this issue. You should talk to your family practitioner. Like, again, not a medical professional. Even if I say go to your family doctor, but here's what I think, maybe talk to a dermatologist. Here's why, right? So that's my presentation today. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Janice. I see you pop back on. Does anyone, we have a little bit of time. Are there questions? I will do my best to answer them. And I'm also a big fan of, I don't know everything. If someone has a question, I don't have the answer, you might very well likely get from me, that's a good question. And I might look into it and see what I can find out. Because sometimes you learn something, but I learn something too sometimes. This is where the good stuff happens, these chats. All right. Is there a Q&A box? Let me take a little look. Or is there a chat?
There is. There's a chat going, Nikki.
Hi, I did.
Hi. I've been watching it just at the side.
Cool. Best lecture ever. Stop.
Actually, I learned so much watching this
Did you?
lecture. I was sitting back. Yes, I was eating supper. That's why I took my video off. But I'm multitasking.
Clearly a foot care provider eating dinner while
most
talking
of
about
us.
feet. You're my people. You are my people.
Didn't bug me. I ate the whole time. I just really want to say also thank you to you because a lot of us, whether we practice in a clinic or we practice in home care, our end result is finding outcomes for our clients.
Yes.
It's part of our care plan. And a lot of us as nurses um, came from a place, sometimes we worked in hospital, long-term care, and we're moving into that whole new environment where we're bringing products. And it's a little stressful for us because sometimes it's like, oh, am I selling? No, you're providing as part of their care plan. Everyone wants something to walk away with, right? It's knowledge. We've dealt with clients over a long period of time, and sometimes you may recommend something, they don't grasp it, but we all know out there, next visit, next visit.
Yes.
We keep
Yes.
on them. We are like, well, I know, but you're back here again. It's 4 to 6 weeks later. We're still having the same issue. And you know what, everyone, as we develop those relationships, these care plans become much easier. And care plans can be offloading, they can be products, they can be all of these things.
Can you squeeze this?
So like the knowledge is just huge. I learned a lot of things. It's been 15 years, Nikki, and I'm like, really?
This is why training is so cool because
Yeah.
even like we don't know it all, but when we talk with different people, like we take a nugget every time. Even this presentation, like of our VP of sales, Tanya Palladina, this girl, oh my gosh, such a professional. And I learn when I hear from her, or if I hear Catherine doesn't present a whole lot, our CEO and creator of Footlogix, but man, if you get a chance to hear her talk, or even like we have distributors globally, and when we go out and do training, part of that training is they have to deliver some info as well. And I'll tell you, just, the way they do foot care, I've been to India, I've been to Belgium, I've been to Romania. I am fascinated by all the different levels of foot care and different people participate in foot care, different places in the world. But I'm also so interested how universal it is. It truly is. And the value, I hope everyone in the room knows as a foot care nurse, like, I think this is something that's still emerging, but there's so much value in it. The preventative care. Like, let's not wait. If you go to the family doctor, if you're not bleeding, you're fine. Yeah, if you like, I went to a presentation once with a podiatrist who said, well, I tell them to hydrate the skin for a week. If it doesn't improve, then I'll give them an antifungal. And I'm like, they had to come to you twice. They had to pay for that. I'm like, we can do better. We can recognize dry skin, callous skin, rough skin. We can make recommendations. And the thing you said too about selling creepy, like it feels creepy, doesn't it? Nobody wants to sell anybody anything.
It's hard in the beginning, and I think a lot of foot nurses, we're not selling anything, we're solving an issue. We're just
Solving problems.
providing, right? We're
Absolutely.
providing
Yep.
a solution, an outcome. We're
Yep.
being goal
Yep.
practice. What can we give to our clients?
Yep.
And they might not always listen, everybody, in the beginning, but as we develop that relationship and give them more information, is there
I
anyone
always say it's,
here with
I,
questions who is having maybe
yeah,
a difficult time
you have an
or
interesting foot you want to talk about? I love it.
everyone's so quiet tonight.
Sometimes you have to marinate, when you take on a lot of stuff all at once. Adult learning theory, we only hold at like 20% or 30% of what we hear the first time, right? We just
Mhm.
dropped a lot. So maybe you're gonna take some things on board, put some things into practice. Maybe
Mhm.
that's going to inspire some other convos later. And I hope you all know that. If you have a question later, you can reach me at education@footlogix.com. You can reach out to Janice. I know is a very skilled and knowledgeable practitioner and a leader in our industry. Kathy from CPC is tremendous as a distributor, very skilled, very knowledgeable. So it's all about building our community and our network too. So I mean, I do see a question, but if you think of one later, this isn't just one and done. Like, it's so important to me that I don't want you to be like, what was that chick's name? She was talking about
I
feet.
know.
Like, you can
I
reach
see,
me, right? We can talk.
and I see a couple questions who've
Okay.
popped up that are really good.
So callus softener, 2 to 3 minutes, skin should be tacky. Yes. So if you read the bottle, it says spray the foot. It says 2 to 5 minutes. And some people are like regimented. They're like a timer, 2 minutes. And I'm like, every foot is different. You have to look at it. When you sprayed on it first, it's shiny because it's liquid. And as it soaks in, the calloused areas, it will soak in first and it starts to look more matte. to look at it. It's not as shiny. If you touch it, it's just tacky. And then you know it's time to start filing the foot. If you have a heavy calloused area, the beauty of this, because it's urea, urea is part of the skin's natural moisturizing factor. You can spray some more on, come do another, do some nail work on something else, and then come back to that and file a little bit more if there's particularly heavy callousing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I was going to mention that often when we're doing our regular care, one of the suggestions I had is that you're doing your full assessment first. You're seeing absolutely everything that's going on with your client's feet. And when we've decided that we're going to be whether using the Footlogix file or other things with the callus softener spray, the first thing we do is assess for the corns and calluses. That way we're treating it with the spray and moving to the nails. It gives between that time and the fact that I talk a lot with my clients
It works.
during the service, that it really does work. So often if you do the full assessment and you're noticing, aha, I've got that corn, I've got that callus, spray, you're moving on to the nails. By the time you're hitting back, it's ready to go. You're ready to go.
Corns are so satisfying with the callus softener because it's like that little nucleus. It's like a little iceberg. And as the corn, because it's like thicker there and packed, as it absorbs the moisture and it starts to swell up, it almost sticks up a little bit and you can just like pop them. They're so satisfying.
It's like a volcano. I love it.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. And Nikki, there's still, I think, some back higher up, there's still some questions there. I see one. I am just starting my business. What would be the best way to purchase your products? Any suggestions?
I would say talk with CPC, so Cooperative Podiatry Canada. So Kathy Silcox owns that distribution, and she carries the full Footlogix line. I'm not sure if she has a starter pack. If someone's starting out, I'm always going to do a consultative approach and understand, are you in a clinic? Are you traveling? What's your budget? What do you have on hand already in terms of implements? I'm going to talk to them about how many implements you need to purchase to ensure that you can get through your day and still proper, do proper disinfection and hygiene at the end of the day, and talk about that. Kathy's way more skilled at that than even I am. And then in terms of retail, if you're traveling to people's homes, you don't want to carry everything. I would bring like a DD cream, a rough skin, and a nail tincture, because I know that 9 times out of 10, those are the ones. If you visit your clients all the time, you know who they are anyway. In your head right now, you might even have an idea. Bring it with you. So if you suggest it, you have it to offer. If you're in a clinic setting, I love the displays. A lot of times too, if someone's just sitting waiting to come in for a foot care service, they see the before and after photos and they're like, oh, that's my sister's foot. I'm going to take that for her. Like sometimes they're making decisions before I've even had an opportunity to speak with them, right?
A lot of our mobile nurses will even pack a little kit. That's something we've done.
Yeah.
So they have just a couple items of a few of our favorite products.
Yeah.
Because if you're not bringing them along with you and you're not using them in their regular service. So we do like all of that tied in. I just want to also send a message out there. There may be some newer foot nurses on here and you're just starting your business and it can seem like a lot with all the products. Start with 2 of like your ultimate favorites. Go from there. Kathy at CPC is really awesome that, yes, she's got the kits and some of us can do that and we bring it to our clinic. But don't be afraid too to get a hold of somebody who is able to supply them like Kathy and say, you know what, I'm just going to start with the DD and maybe the nail tincture, and that's okay. Because as you get comfortable, you can add on to your practice. You don't have to do it all at once. And it's so funny because sometimes it's baby steps that you're like, okay, I did this. I brought something on for the dry skin. When? I brought something on for fungus. When? And
Forward is forward. And you make such a great point about that. Sometimes when I'm working with businesses who do have many products in and they're struggling a little how to talk about it, make it a product of the month. Every single product in our line, and if you want one, I have an info sheet with the features and benefits of each. So feature urea, benefit hydrates and helps with cellular turnover. Feature spirulina, benefit is it helps prevent infection or address any fungus, virus, bacteria. And it doesn't say it that way. It's written in a more conversational way so that it's something you can print and hand to a client. So like you said, we're always going to recommend the things to our clients. They may or not be prepared. Maybe no one's talked to them about using something between visits before. They need to think on that. Maybe they didn't budget for it. If I can hand them a brochure or an info sheet about the product, maybe they're going to go online, or a loved one's going to look online and see what it's about. And maybe next time they come, they'll be ready to make a buy decision. But you're spot on. And I think the repetition, when we're talking about the same things over and over, this is how new knowledge becomes intrinsic knowledge, and we retain it. And then we have capacity to take on the new things. So like you're saying, maybe you're starting with the DD cream and that's really popular. And now you feel good about that, but you're seeing a lot of nail issues. I think I'm ready to talk about this with customers. I want to have this product available. I love.
Yeah, baby steps.
We're
A
on the
little bit
same.
along the way. And you know what? When we're offering this to our clients, we become an expert in our field. We become much more trustworthy to them. And again, I've had clients like it can take 2 weeks, it could take a year
Yeah.
that Mr. Brown finally
Everybody's
comes
different.
back, and I'm like, Mr. Brown, talking to you for a whole year about your damn feet. But
Do the
like,
thing.
he's going to switch over. It becomes trusted. It helps you become more of an expert in your field when you're starting to decipher between all these things going on. And besides these products, right, there's offloading. There's a whole number of
There's
things.
a whole
You
bunch
should
of,
be
yeah.
so educated. I'm seeing a really good question pop up from Alyssa. Do you see it there?
Would you use rough skin formula with spirulina regularly for someone who may be at risk of infections, even if the skin's okay? This is an excellent question, Alyssa. So we have two products that have spirulina. We have the DD Cream Mousse. Please hold. And we have the rough skin formula. So both of these products have urea in them. Okay, the DD Cream and the rough skin. Rough skin has a higher level of spirulina if we're addressing a fungal infection. But you're saying this client doesn't have anything going on, I don't think. They're just at risk. They're an at-risk client. DD Cream is like the best seller for that audience, because if we can just simply start hydrating the skin, it will help. The urea helps with cellular turnover as well. The percentage is not high enough that it's keratolytic, so it's safe for like a cancer treatment or someone who's at risk. But there is a little bit of spirulina in here, not as much as if we're trying to address an issue, but enough in here that it's kind of a preventative. So if you have a client who you're like, they have heart disease, they take, whatever it is that this is an at-risk client, DD Cream Mousse is absolutely the one I would recommend in that case. DD Cream Mousse tends to be a bestseller to start for that reason, because when you're starting using this new info and you're like, there's 3 hydration, which do I choose? A lot of people like to put product on at night after bathing. So DD Creams, because it has that richer texture, it's a little bit of experience too. It feels nice, like rubbing this rich thing into your foot, or if someone's taking care and doing that for you, DD Cream's an excellent choice for that reason as well. I hope that answers your question, Alyssa. I don't know if you can give me a thumbs up or what have you. I appreciate it. Okay, awesome. I got a thumbs up. Thank you. All right. So you said to go back up just before we wrap up here, Janice. You were saying that there might have been a question higher up here. I wasn't showing the tool. Did you all see the tool? This is the little tiny, teeny little head. I love that it's little because it gets in all the places. The little blocks file. Thank you very much. You're in the AFCN program. Great. It will be beneficial every time we learn something. Best lecture. Thank you. Just starting my business. What would be the best way? Yep. The callus spray. How long do you leave that on? We talked about that. Okay. Well, I think that's it. My final question is just like, did everyone learn something? Those with cameras on, one thing, everyone. That's the goal. If we can all take like one thing, and then we take another little thing next time and another little thing. That's how we grow.
Oh, I'm seeing lots of thumbs up and lots of hearts come across the screen. I love that.
Thank you so much for being such a welcoming and warm audience. Gosh, I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Nikki Fraser. We have totally enjoyed this. This has brought a lot of information to us as we're all trying to excel in our practices. We're all trying to learn. So I really love that, it's going on 8:30 at night, but we are all here together. And you know what? We're awesome because we're all just trying to be the best foot care nurses we can in Canada. Yay! Everyone pat each other in the back.
Thank you so much. And if I can be of service, I hope that you would reach out. I wish everyone well, and thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki.
My
Everyone have a very good night. And this will be recorded. If you would like to share it with any of your friends, we'll get that posted probably within the next couple days.
Wonderful. Thank you.